Welcome to this press conference of the official inauguration of the joint project Drug and Alcohol Aware Abuse Campaign, hosted by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports and the St. Martin's Lions Club and Leo's Club. To my right, I have the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, Ms. Sylvia Jacobs, and next to her we have the Inspector of Culture, Youth and Sports, Ms. Betty Ellis. To my left, we have the President of the St. Martin Lions Club, Mr. Davy Woods, and the Advisor to the St. Martin Leo Club, Mrs. Lysandra Ellis Havertong. We will now open with some words from the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Giselle. Good morning once again. As mentioned earlier in the press briefing, it is a great pleasure for me to be able to inaugurate and also thank the community via these very hardworking community service-minded people, as well as members within the ministry for highlighting the need for such a collaboration. For many, we have been talking for quite a while. I've received several reports, the last being the State of Education report, which highlighted some of our challenges within education with drug abuse and alcohol use among our students. More and more, the reports are coming in, and Mr. Sachel Hyman, who is here, not on camera at this side, but in the seating audience, I must commend you for coming forth with the idea that we collaborate in such a manner or do something, and that we were able to find persons willing to collaborate with us with similar goals in mind. Mr. Hyman, as one of our truancy officers, is in direct contact with the schools, is the one that is called when students are being truant, etc. And so to continue to just request suspension and or expulsion for these children is only setting them up for a very negative future. And we would, as a ministry, are not so willing to constantly suspend, put out. And I know for some of the schools, it's a frustration to have to deal with students who are under the influence of whether drugs or alcohol. So we believe that it is high time. We did have last year already with the Leo's Club and the Lions a strong emphasis on alcohol and drug use. And I must say back then, or when it started 2 years ago, I was a member of parliament, and we did start the process to amend the laws that would also penalize those who are serving. So while it's illegal to serve those under 18 with alcohol, so even for parents to do so, the penalties are not in place for those between 16 and 18. So the law needed to be amended. So that's just a little background information that is in process and hopefully will be in Parliament soon. It was already sent to Parliament, that amendment. Today now we're at another phase where we are faced with the realities of teachers constantly complaining that they suspect students are either high. The process to get them tested, students are now beating the tests. So we as the ministry charged with education and the protection of our youth, we have to do more, we feel, and I thank Sachel for bringing that as an urgent matter to be dealt with and putting it on his plan of action within the ministry under the inspectorate. Also, we have newly, just about a year, less than a year, in the ministry for the first time, an Inspector of Culture, Youth and Sport. Many do not know her. Ms. Betty Ellis was introduced a few minutes ago, but in the first part of her job, she had to do lots and lots of research, collaborate with the Culture, Youth and Sports departments. And having worked for a while with Sachel, she also took it upon herself to collaborate and assist with this as the youth inspector. So the youth department is also a part of this collaborative effort, though they're not represented today due to unforeseen circumstances, having other obligations this morning, but they are 100% also in support. We have other stakeholders within the ministry that will also support this initiative. As I mentioned earlier in the press briefing, the Student Support Services Division is hosting several workshops dealing with aggression, dealing with other issues, and I'm sure that we can also incorporate such workshops about drug and alcohol abuse. I know it's becoming the norm for some of our young people to think that alcohol and some of the derivatives of alcohol and When you come out to these awareness sessions, you will learn even more. I don't want to divulge all here in this one setting, but I implore parents, guardians, schools, all who work with children to really make sure you're informed and take part in this awareness campaign so that we can really curb the use of alcohol and drugs among our youth, in fact, among our citizens, but we want to target our youth in this campaign. And so I'd like at this time to invite Ms. Ellis, who will give you a broader explanation of the program and the collaboration with the Lions Club and the Leo Club.
Thank you, Minister, for the introduction. And as said before, I am the Head Inspector for Culture, Youth and Sport. And this project was kicked off by my colleague, Mr. Sachel Hyman, as he is dealing with all these problems and being called very often to schools. So the partnership is between Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport and the St. Martin's Leo Club have joined forces in the quest to tackle the drugs and alcohol abuse under our youth. Both parties recognize that this matter is an ongoing problem with a root in our community, which cannot be solved in a matter that is tackled jointly, so we decided let's join forces. The main stakeholders identified in this project are the ministry and the St. Martin's Lions with Leo's Club, the Inspectorate of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Youth Affairs, and the two stakeholders representing our ministry, which are youth, sports, joining with inspection. Other stakeholders will be approached once the sub-projects have been identified. We are working out these sub-projects, and the kickoff will start with the first meeting of stakeholders, which will be held on Monday, March 20th at 6:30 p.m. at the Lions Den. The purpose of that meeting is to introduce the project to the relevant stakeholders and seek their cooperation in our quest to jointly tackle drugs and alcohol abuse by our youth. All organizations that would like to be a part of this initiative are welcome to indicate their willingness to join. They can contact the Inspectorate of Culture, Youth and Sport or the Department of Youth Affairs for further information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alice. We will now invite the representatives from the Leo and Lions Club. So first we will call up the president of the Lions Club, Mr. Davy Woods.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Honorable Minister. Thank you for inviting us. Members of the press, invited guests. St. Martin Lions Club is very happy to be a part of this project, this initiative. We, a few years ago, started, as the Minister said, initiated the change from drinking age from 16 to 18, bringing the awareness of this. We've also done a number of campaigns in the Carnival Village where we put up stickers in the various booths to really bring the awareness of underage drinking. We took it to Parliament. We were successful with that. And we felt this was another good initiative that we could partner with other stakeholders and get our message more out there. The Leo Club is an extension of us, and they have really done well when it comes to drug awareness, and we always have to support the Leo Club in whatever they do. So it's very good that the Lions Club was approached, and we definitely wholeheartedly support this project on behalf of all of my members and board, of course. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. We now invite Mrs. Havertong Ellis.
Good morning, Honorable Minister and the press and everyone. Today is I would say, very excited moment to see that we are reaching so far that we actually have, the minister and the community of St. Martin who eventually will be supporting this wonderful project. Many, many years ago, when I was Leo, we started the drug campaign at Milton Peters College, like, I don't want to say how many years ago, but pretty long. And we even had different workshops, and it is the intention that we will continue doing workshops, we will continue educating the parents, the community, the young ones, of course, and we will be doing joint projects, of course, with education, the Ministry of Education, Sports and Youth. So last year, when the new president, Leo Navin, we decided to do something different for 2016 and 2017, and we wanted to have a signature project. A signature project meaning that it is an ongoing project. It is not something that we start and then it stops. And we said, you know, let's bring back the drug awareness campaign back to St. Maarten. And we started first with the slogans. The slogan, if I may, Minister, the best me is drug-free. The greatest me is alcohol-free. So we came up with the slogans. We are busy now with an artwork, a joint artwork. Hopefully that will be finished this week. And then we will continue doing different projects in the community and in the schools. So we really wanted to do something, especially when Inspectorate of Education called us and they said, guys, do you want to join? In less than a week, we put all of this together, and we can say happily, and I'm very excited that we can stand here today and say that we are all joining forces together. And on Monday, more stakeholders come on board, and then we can definitely tackle this major problem on the beautiful island of St. Maarten. Thank you, Minister, for having me this morning.
Thank you. We will now give members of the press the opportunity to ask questions, should they have any.
Just one question. Just one question for the minister. The biggest stakeholder, Carnival organization. I understand that this is with the Leos Club, and I'm sure that the campaign awareness would be good. But Carnival are they involved in any way, Minister?
Thanks for that question, Andrew. As yet, as I mentioned earlier in the other press briefing, we are having discussions with the Carnival Development Foundation over the past few weeks, and we have another meeting that is pending before we will actually come out as a unit to explain to the general public our expectations, both as ministry, as government, and the Carnival Development Foundation. For us, it's important that we have all stakeholders willing to work along. Carnival Development or the Carnival Foundation, the Carnival season happens within the next couple of weeks. The first jump up is this weekend already. So we felt it imperative to start the awareness prior to any of the events. The Carnival Development has been trying to curb. They have been, if booth holders, for instance, are caught selling, so there are no laws to penalize as yet between 16 and 18, because the law previously was up to 16 for those with a permit to sell alcohol. They could easily lose their booths. So the Carnival Development is doing their part where that is concerned. They have regulated that adults, youngsters under 15 or 14 couldn't enter to the adult shows, which is something we wholeheartedly support and has been supported by previous ministers before me as well. This is not something new. We expect that the Carnival Development Foundation will work wholeheartedly along with us. They have not been apprised as yet. This is the first time we're coming out as such between the Leo Club and us in terms of this collaboration. It's an initiative that came directly from the ministry, but it's also one of the main goals of the Leo Club. I believe several other clubs, organizations on St. Maarten would love to join in with this. I believe that to ask where they are in this press conference does not take away from the fact that this is a very important first step for us. We felt it important that parents and students are aware prior to Carnival starting. So some things will start way before Carnival, just like last year. And, the stickers going up in the booths, etc. We're hoping that we will have pamphlets and flyers and different things to give to the general public during Carnival, after Carnival, because alcohol and drugs are consumed all year round. This is just a time where it is maybe somewhat easier, and therefore, for me, it's important that the parents do their due diligence. Of course, children will be children and will find ways to try and get away, but we as parents have a responsibility to make that as difficult for them as possible. We as a community have to also look out for them, be the village that helps to raise a child. And within the Carnival village, there has been that sense of snitching going on, that booth holders would tell on the others if they are caught or seen selling alcohol. What I find very disconcerting is adults who go to the booths to buy alcohol for the youngsters, and youngsters thinking that maybe, what is the red beer called? Desperados are not as strong, or they are okay for youngsters to drink. As a matter of fact, Desperados have a higher content of alcohol than others. So I believe awareness is needed for parents, for the students themselves who thinks it is so cool. It is not cool when you see them lying on the ground after a jump up and they don't know themselves, or they have to be taken to emergency room and end up spending some time for alcohol poisoning. The long-term effects are even more dangerous. So we would like, of course, for the Carnival Development Foundation to jump on board with this, and I expect them to, because nobody wants their carnival to be associated with a place where youth lawlessness and drunkenness is allowed and accepted. And I think that they have taken some very important first steps in that, and will definitely join us in helping to bring the awareness, especially during the carnival season.
Okay, also, maybe the Leo could answer this. Timeline for the project. Is there a timeline for how the promotion will go? So maybe you could give us some details where that is concerned.
Yes, we're starting this week. This week we will have the artwork finish. We already have the slogan. For the next couple of weeks, we will also have brochures ready. For the health and wellness fair of the Lions Club, we will also be handing out brochures about awareness of drug campaigns. So we're starting with that. On the 1st of April, we also have for the secondary schools a basketball tournament, whereas we're also going to be handing out flyers, and we're going to be speaking to the youngsters as well. On that day. So timeline, no, because it's all year round. We are going to be busy with this project. It is not something that only going to start now because of Carnival. Like what the minister also indicated, it is something that, throughout the whole year, kids are using alcohol as well as drugs. So we want to, we're joining forces for 3 years. 3 years, we will be together with the Minister of Education as well as the Inspectorate Department, that we agreed that for 3 years we will be involved in this project heavily, both the Alpha, Omega, as well as the St. Maarten Lions Club.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisandra. I would also like to add that the awareness, especially from education, culture, youth, and sports part, as I mentioned before, SSSD also has a strong input in putting out the parenting workshops and support groups, that this focus will also be brought to them to incorporate it within their program for the rest of the year. The youth department recently hosted a I Am King trilogy of events, where in the last one, where the stakeholders were a part of that, it really came across strongly that drug abuse and drug awareness is something that has to happen quickly. The action plan coming out of that will also help to guide the ministry in terms of what we will be doing in the schools specifically. Where schools are concerned, we will be going to the schools, especially to get bigger groups of parents, because we've noticed that when we host workshops where parents have to come separately, it's a little bit difficult to motivate them to come there. But if schools are already having parent evenings that are mandatory and you incorporate a presentation from whether the LEOs or whether it's a recovering drug addict or drug abuser or alcohol user, to give students a good insight into the dangers of alcohol and not only see the fun aspects. I think even our media, and I'm hoping that the Leos and the Lions will take that into, when I say the media, the advertising media, the way we're using alcohol to promote parties and even placing billboards right next to school. These things are being looked at. It has the attention of our ministry. It was brought to my attention just this week about a huge billboard very close to the St. Maarten Academy School, promoting an alcohol beverage. They're using females in very sexually suggestive posters to entice young men and women to drink, making it look quite cool, etc. So we have to educate our young people that indeed the slogan chosen by the Leo Club, the best me is drug-free and the greatest me is alcohol-free, that this becomes their way of life. And hopefully it will rub off on their parents.
Thank you for those questions. We now invite the minister to end this conference with a few words of thanks.
Thanks, Giselle. As I just said a mouthful, I'm sure I've said enough. However, I'd like to take the opportunity still at this time to thank Mr. Hyman of the Inspectorate as a truancy officer for jumping in with both feet, so to speak. I must say he held me up in the streets during Orania School Book Week Parade. It's like, Minister, I have something. We need to do something about this. The passion of the ministry workers must be commended. I mean, we hear a lot of negativity, and I always like to big up when I see positivity. The Inspectorate of Culture, Youth and Sport, Ms. Wena Martis, also as a Chief Operations Officer at the Inspectorate, also seeing it very important, collaborating, having meetings already with Justice, and I'm seeing that we will definitely get this executed based on the vibe, based on the positivity that I'm getting from within the ministry. I already know how the Leo Club operates, so I have no doubt about that. But I would like to officially thank you as partners with the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, and we look forward to 3 years of hard work. And I would like to, at this moment, really ask other youth organizations or organizations seeing that they can make a contribution to this group to come to that initial meeting on March 20th, which is on Monday, at the Lions Den. What time? At 6:30. So at 6:30 p.m., March 20th at the Lions Den, to meet with the coordinators of this project and lend your support. Thank you to the St. Maarten Lions Club, Leo's Club, Inspectorate, and I look forward to this bearing much fruit in terms of curbing a growing trend, not just in St. Maarten, but around the world, and where our youth can stand as examples of youth wanting to be the best they can be, alcohol and drug-free. Thank you.